Bombs away indeed. The family of a slain Capitol police officer just dropped a massive bombshell on Donald Trump. Don't act surprised. In the wake of Donald Trump's pardoning of the January 6th insurrectionists, the newly seated president has already had to dodge heated criticism, even from his own party. Plenty of Democrats were quick to condemn the move, including Nancy Pelosi, Hakeem Jeffries, and Chuck Schumer. Republican lawmakers have been a bit slower, though a few have spoken out. Tom Tillis, James Langford, Lisa Murkowski, and Bill Cassidy have also expressed their disgust or disagreement with the move. Worse, the Fraternal Order of Police and the International Association of Chiefs of Police have issued a joint statement saying that the mass pardon, quote, sends a dangerous message that the consequences for attacking law enforcement are not severe, end quote. This from a president that ran on law and order and Blue Lives Matter. In just one day in office, Trump showed every law enforcement official in the nation what he truly thinks of their devotion and sacrifice. Capitol officers have spoken out as well. Daniel Hodges, who was repeatedly assaulted and crushed by rioters during the attack, stated, quote, "Thanks America," on his Twitter account in response to the decision. Former Capitol Police Sergeant Aquilino Gunnell also took to Twitter to express his disgust. In a separate statement, he described the pardons as miserable injustice due to taking away accountability from rioters who did, quote, irreparable damage to our nation, end quote. Former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn also released a statement calling the pardons, quote, continuation of the stain that January 6th left on our nation, end quote. No wonder the families of slain officers have launched their own attacks on Trump. That includes the family of Capitol Officer Brian Sicknick. Sicknick passed away just a day after the attack after suffering 2 massive strokes from the stress. He was just 42 years old. Now, Trump apologists have claimed his death was a coincidence and had nothing to do with the stress or injuries he suffered during the insurrection. That would be one heck of a coincidence, wouldn't it? I suppose the deaths of the 4 officers that committed suicide following the attacks due to stress and trauma had nothing to do with the attacks either. Don't believe it for a second. Sicknick was a true American hero. A native of New Jersey, he served 6 years in the Air Force and was deployed to Afghanistan. He joined the Capitol Police Force in 2008 and served 16 years in the line of duty. On January 6th, he was physically assaulted. He was beaten by protesters. He was sprayed with chemical weapons. Ugh. Man, it's a pretty sorry state of affairs when a police officer suffers more violence and torture in the Capitol than he does fighting the Taliban in Afghanistan. It's disgusting. Since Brian Sicknick's death, his family has fought to keep his spirit alive and show the truth about Donald Trump and the insurrection. Last summer, Brian's brother Craig and his mother Gladys appeared at the DNC to issue a warning to the nation. Now, in the wake of the pardons, Craig Sicknick has again stepped into the spotlight to defend his brother. Take a look.
Well, the family of Brian Sicknick, the fallen Capitol police officer, they're speaking out after President Trump issued pardons for January 6th rioters. Officer Sicknick's brother Craig told our Rachel Scott that it's, quote, an absolute betrayal of decency and that President Trump is, quote, a poor excuse of a man, quote unquote.
The D.C. medical examiner reported Officer Sicknick died of natural causes, adding that all that transpired on that day played a role in his condition.
Did you hear that, everybody? The same medical examiner who said Officer Sicknick died of, quote, natural causes cited January 6th as a major factor in hastening his death. There is no doubt of a connection. I'm sure that won't stop the excuses of the MAGA faithful. I'm sure other Republican politicians will continue to spread the lie that Sicknick's death had nothing to do with January 6th, and I'm sure J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, both of whom at different points had said violent offenders in the attack did not deserve a pardon, will come up with still more lies and excuses why January 6th was a day of love, not a day of violence, not a day of death. And make no mistake, it was a day of death. Part of American decency died on January 6th, as officers like Brian Sicknick fought to defend it. The January 6th criminals were and are enemies of the United States. They are people who fought to destroy American democracy and who didn't care what kind of true patriots they had to beat, torture, or kill to do so. And now they're pardoned. Maya Angelou said, "When someone shows you who he is, believe him the first time." Well, Donald Trump has shown the world who he is. And by disrespecting the memory of Brian Sicknick, in disrespecting his family, and disregarding all the officers who fought to protect the United States that day, Donald Trump has shown who he is. He is an enemy of the United States. He is someone who actively fights against all we hold precious in this country, and now more than ever, the time has come for true American patriots to resist and discredit the Trump agenda. Listen, it's the least we can do to honor people like Brian Sicknick. Brian, wherever you are, rest in power. This is Occupy Democrats.